Sorry, I can pause the recording. I just don't want to forget.
That's fine. Thank you, John. Well, we have a quorum, so I guess we can begin. Welcome to the May 19th Andover Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and we're now calling the meeting to order. And first things first, present is Leanne Hutchinson, Jed Larson, Scott Person, and myself, and Jay is here.
I'm here. How you doing, guys?
You will be seated as the alternate. You'll be seated tonight.
Okay, sounds good.
Anne-Marie Daigle's not online yet, so. All right, and we're moving right along to item 3, additions and changes to the agenda. We do have an addition. We're adding 5A, second consultation for Whispering Hills for old business for the planning, part of our planning and zoning. Are there any other changes or additions to the agenda? Going once, going twice.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Jay? You,
Nope,
vote?
I'm good.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving right along to public speak. See some extra people online.
No, they're online with, for new business.
Okay, very good. Moving right along. Now we're at old business. The floor is yours,
If you want, I can skip all.
yes, please announce yourself.
The given name is Wilson Alford. Most people know me as Skip. I'm a state civil engineer, and a state surveyor. I brought this, you discussed it last month, like Twisting the Hills and
Thank you.
how familiar you are with the property because nobody can see it from the road. There. Oops. I'm making many realize this year, like that. I'm a study civil engineer, Jessica Chapman, who's the manager of the project, has contacted us about doing the civil engineering for the application. But the property is, it's on Wales Road and Shotty Hill Road. There are 32 apartments on it at the present time. She was here a month ago and discussed with it that she'd like to put some more onto the piece of property. And there was a mention of the 8-30G procedure for doing it. And my question to you is, since I'm a site civil engineering preparing the information, what do you envision the next step as far as this? And what level of information are you looking? Because it's not in your regulations and don't want to spend any more money than we have to do.
Those are fair questions. I'm gonna defer to our town planner, John, and maybe Wayne a little bit here because this would be the first time that to my knowledge, that 830G was utilized to add apartments to our town.
So if I might, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's a little bit tricky, and I'm sorry, I missed the name. Is it Skip? The
Yeah.
gentleman's book? So it's a little bit tricky to ask the zoning commission how to proceed with an 830G because 830G is sort of designed by the state to do an end around local zoning regulations. So it's used when zoning regulations would not otherwise allow the sort of housing density that you're proposing. So you wouldn't find an answer in the zoning regulations. I think, and I've talked to your client, your partner about this a little bit. I think you and she need to determine what your goals are in terms of unit yield and understand where on the property you'd like those units to go. I think you probably need to do some soil testing to determine if you've got sufficient, and decent enough soils to dispose of the wastewater that's generated by the new housing units, as well as your well yields to make sure that you can provide potable water and possibly fire protection depending on fire codes for those units. I think the idea being you need to do your development due diligence, mapping, site investigation, and development planning as if this was essentially a go. Because if you present a plan that sets aside 30% of the new units as income restricted, and you are able to answer, basic issues of public health, safety, and welfare, this will be a go. The state is put its thumb on the scale on your side. And the only thing you would really need the zoning commission for is if you were looking to change the current regulations in order to, legally and locally enable the sort of development that you would want to do there. But barring that, and if you're going to proceed down the 830G path, you should proceed with a site development plan as if you were doing something, as of right from scratch.
I would add that I really think the commission needs to be cautious in discussing an 830G, because that is essentially an appeal of a zoning decision, as far as the way I understand it.
Yeah. And yes, and that's, the way that the statute envisions 830G going is, you as, the property owner would present this apartment expansion plan. The zoning commission would look at it and say, hey, we don't allow these in this location. You're denied. And then you would take that denial to court and make your case for 830G. There is something called a friendly 830G, which basically proceeds with the planning and zoning commission going into the process, acknowledging that not only does the town not have 10% of its housing stock, designated as affordable, so therefore the town is subject. But so we intend to cooperate with this process and will focus our comments and our review of the proposed development exclusively. We will not look at the elements of, do we allow multifamily here, or what is the density allowed? What are the setbacks allowed? That sort of thing. We will ignore those and focus our comments exclusively on those elements of public health, safety, and welfare. So the town can be an active participant, planning and zoning can be an active participant in what we would call a friendly 830G. But yeah, broadly speaking, as Wayne said, the way the statute is set up, this is, you would take your denial from planning and zoning because we don't allow this and go to court. But we can, I think this commission would be more than willing to entertain a friendly 830G with the understanding that, Andover is subject to this statute.
I guess, when I started looking at how I thought this might go, I thought we would do in, I don't know if it's site plan review or special permit, but I would just go through the process we would have as if it were allowed by our regulations.
Right.
And sit down, we've got a 57-step checklist of all the things that a special permit would require. And I think if you did most of those, there might be some things that you want to not do. And if you and Wayne agreed that that was appropriate, you filled the checklist out that way. But I think what we're really looking for is the site plan that shows what you want to do, and the approvals from, the fire, sanitarian, that kind of thing. And then I would think that whether we determined it was a special permit or a site plan review. My sense would be we ought to do a public hearing on it, because it's the first 830G, there's gonna be a lot of confusion in the town, and that gives us a chance to answer everybody's questions about that right off the bat. But even though we don't have regulations that say that, with the friendly 830G, if you will, we don't have to disapprove it and let you take it to court. I think we're clear to say we approve it, knowing that, 830G is on your side, and, we see no reason that it wouldn't be upheld that way.
Right.
But I would just use our special permit instruction, section 23 of the
So-
regs.
I think Jed, you're broadly correct. The one wrinkle is that an 830G application must comply with site plan standards, the site plan procedures. You are not specifically authorized to hold a public hearing on it unless the applicant so consents. But
Okay, so the rationale of, the commission determining that it's in the public interest, doesn't work in this case?
That would be ideally sort of the mutual friendliness of a friendly 830G, is that the applicant would say, I want to be transparent here. I want to make sure that the town understands. And so I am consenting to a public hearing. But you should not mistake that for this being entitled to a public hearing.
So I just think, the applicant and the commission would both benefit from.
Sure.
Giving the public a chance to, ask questions and get it all out on the table, otherwise the rumor mill is gonna go crazy.
Of course, but we need to be cautious with not giving anyone the sense that the public or the commission, for that matter, has more authority or say than they actually do.
Yeah. But we went through that with the Dollar General, we didn't have the whole period, but I think it worked out well that we did.
Dollar General was permitted by our regulations.
Yeah, I got you.
So,
Okay,
I can't emphasize enough, I believe the commission needs to be cautious on how it proceeds, because you're giving advice to an applicant that we have no legal counsel here to advise us at this time. So I'll just leave it at that. But as far as coming to the commission with a fully developed site plan, absolutely, you have to do that. That's step one. Where are you gonna put these, how are you gonna take, as John discussed, how are you gonna address septic and water and safety and all that good stuff. What else you planning on doing? Hop River Trail borders this property, you're gonna do something with that, things like that, so. That's where I am. A fully developed site plan. A2 survey, A2 standards and all that good stuff. You know it well, sure.
So when you say safety, what are you referring to? As part of the plan, you said septic, water and safety?
Yes.
Fire access, emergency access,
Okay.
appropriate lighting.
And understand, things have changed since these were built in 1967, as far as a lot of these things are concerned. So. That's where I am.
but I think one of the top reasons, at least from the newspaper articles I read, are when people view safety, they talk about road traffic in the vicinity of the development.
But it has to be addressed,
Yeah, it does. And,
and that's on the applicant to address it.
right. So we take a look at traffic, how you're gonna impact traffic on.
Okay, so how do we determine that?
So that's and again, not getting too deep into the weeds on this, but if you're talking about traffic, I think you would probably do an existing conditions traffic count. How many vehicles are going out of your driveway and onto the road in the course of, X hours or the course of a day. And then
Okay.
what you do then is a projection forward. So you've got what, 32 units there right now?
Yes.
You do those counts, say, those 32 units generate 120 vehicle trips per day going, left and right onto the town road. With a peak flow of, maybe between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning is your peak flow, and you've got, 15 of them or something like that. And that establishes a level of service. So like, how long does someone need to sit at that intersection before they're cleared to make a left or a right turn? And then you do the projection forward. If you're adding another 16 units, what is that traffic count likely to be? And does that affect the time that people have to wait at the driveway or out on the town road? My suspicion is, I'm not casting any judgment about this, traffic volumes on that road are extraordinarily low, and an additional 16 units are probably not going to change it that much. But it's necessary to kind of do that exercise to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the commission that this additional traffic volume is not creating an unsafe condition.
Okay, got it.
That checklist is important.
Mhm.
Just follow that,
Okay,
goes over to the fire marshal, he's got it okay and all. Just a lot of things on the checklist like Wayne's saying.
okay. Easy enough.
And then if I might add, in my opinion, to try and be conforming to the rest of the zoning regs like dark sky.
What's the lighting?
The lighting, yeah, so it's not shining into the neighbors. But these are all requests because I'm not sure of the legal implications of what I'm asking, but at the same time,
Well, lighting is a safety issue.
okay, fair enough. And then we also have what was referred to as a summary review or site plan review. We discussed that briefly, but also the environmental review. So that would go before
Inland
Inland
wetlands
wetlands.
has to weigh in on,
Yeah.
yeah,
they just weigh in, correct?
not there, but it depends on what was identified as wetlands.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Are you looking for full environmental?
Just got wetlands.
Just
Yeah,
Fine.
no, right. If there's wetlands, and I assume there's no floodplain on site. There's, if there are endangered species, that's something that we should know. But yeah, it's primarily wetlands.
and in fact, wetlands comes first before the commission.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Well, anything else or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Going home and do some homework.
There's a.
Yes.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
All right.
Yeah. There's no other old business? Double checking before we move on?
As far as I know,
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in there.
Well, before we move on to old business, I just wanna, like to take the opportunity to just have a quick discussion about this because and that since I did review the Attorney Brance's input on new developments and the state's new requirements, a couple of things that caught my eye were the architectural review board summary review, site plan review, which in this case would actually be applicable because that's like the only things we do have a right to have an input on. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. That's what I was interpreting from that class, the online class.
830G throws a lot of that out the window.
Oh, it does. Okay.
But summary review is applicable to the state's new requirements for what's called transit-oriented middle housing, these small multifamilies. That
That's
summary
all.
review is still applicable to that. 830G is a different animal.
if we had those regulations in place.
Yes, correct.
Which we should try to get on top of soon, I
Yeah.
think. And also I wanted to kind of get the feel of the commission. Do you think we need a subcommittee to address
Are we
that?
jumping agenda?
Oh. Yeah, maybe. Okay, we can talk about it later in commission discussion, but also, the Economic Development Commission, we had our meeting last night. We talked about a lot of this stuff too, so I just want to make sure that we start looping them in and they're involved more here also. Going forward with the, hopefully, some zoning regs for multifamily and you know, what's the max we would want to do, et cetera, but we can talk about that later. Moving on to new business.
Okay, we have, Scott Electrocrafts here, we have, Chris Bussey. Who is, coming to the commission to discuss concepts for potential expansion of Scott Electrocrafts. I believe everybody knows where that is, located on Route 6, pretty close to the Coventry line. Scott, Chris, you have the floor?
Hey guys, thanks for having us. I have my general manager on the call with me as well, Tom Johnston. So over the course of the last year, we've grown significantly here, and our current floor space isn't really allowing us to expand much more. So we've been having internal discussions over the last year or so on things that we can do. And we've been speaking to some outside construction companies, and we're looking at potentially different ways where we could add anywhere between, 10 to 13,000 square foot, depending on what the land and the current lot will allow us to do. So we're just we're still in the early stages here, but we're trying to lean into the town to see what you guys will allow us. We understand that, parking and septic will be, a big part of this, but we're trying to also understand, how far from the road there on Route 6 are we allowed to go towards? And that's essentially really it.
Okay.
So I've put the copy of the sketch that was sent by Scott
Thank you.
Electrocrafts 2 on the screen, so you can kind of see broadly what they're envisioning.
Yeah, it's on like a super high level as to, what we're really trying to accomplish there. And we believe by doing that would allow, an additional 10,000 square feet, and we'd be able to bring, our current employee count up to, 75 would be the max we could probably fit in there.
I'm looking.
Well, do you know what the distance would be from, the edge of your new building to the road?
Like how far from the main road?
Yes.
So if you've been by our building before, there's a little building out in front that's used as our break room, and that's about as far out as we would want to go. Where that building ends.
So you demolish that building and not
Yes.
extend any closer to the road than.
Yeah, no closer than where it is right now, where that building is right now.
All
But
right.
just try to enclose off the entire building and, make it one big square. At one point we were in a brief discussion with trying to get a hold of whoever owns the lot next door to us. But from our understanding, that piece of land is with forestry for the next couple years, so that owner isn't willing to sell at this current time.
We used to own it.
Yeah, at a time we owned it. How long ago was that?
I would say 35 years ago.
Yeah. But if we were able to get that, that would be, pretty big for, adding a parking lot over there. And now with the latest addition that, with that stoplight that was added this past week.
So I put up on the screen, I believe I put a copy of the zoning regulations. This is industrially zoned. Wayne, you'll have to tell me if we're adjacent to residential or not.
No,
But it looks like
on one side you might be, but go ahead.
the front yard setback appears to be 100 feet. So from your front property line along Route 6, you're 100 feet back for structures. 35 feet on one side and a total of 75 feet for your two side yards and 35 feet for your rear yard. So
How does
those are
this work? How does this play into effect with parking?
Parking is not considered a structure,
Okay,
so parking can be located in the front yard.
okay.
And is that, I was trying to find the words, I'm assuming that's measured like all other setbacks are from the center line of the road?
No, from the property line.
No, from the front yard setback.
Front yard is from the front property line, not from the center line of the road.
Well, in our ARD regulations, it actually says the center line of the.
Okay, for 24.3. All right, sorry. Let me check.
So this would be an addition or a new, larger separate building than the one?
It would be an addition where we would want to tie everything in. We've been working with Slotnick Construction out of Mansfield on this.
Oh.
They've been putting together a proposal on a budget for us. And one of the other things that kind of came up too was with fire protection. We understand, from our understanding, since we would be going over, 24,000 square foot in current footprint, that we would actually have to have fire protection. Is that correct?
There it is.
Hang on.
Last line, John, edge of the pavement in the business and industrial zone.
Except where setback is measured from edge of pavement. Okay, so 100 feet from the edge of pavement, which is a little odd because the edge of pavement can change if the road is adjusted.
Now, that existing building was a restaurant at one time, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
And that was issued a special permit back in the day to operate, and I don't have the details on that, but.
You know how long ago that was, Wayne?
A long time ago. I'm trying to remember if I remember it back in the
In the
80s, was it?
It
Yeah,
was in the early 80s. Because it was like Jenny's place, Susie's place.
anyway, I'm just, there's history there, so. And of course, if worse comes to worse, I suppose a variance could be asked for. Oh, no, we can vary stuff for business and industrial, can't we?
I don't know, I'd have to check.
Yeah.
I guess the other comment I would make was, I don't know how many square foot the lot is that you currently have, but one of the requirements on that chart that John had up on the screen a minute ago was 50% lot coverage. And so we need to make sure that we didn't exceed that.
Yeah, and just
Pretty big.
that's some calculation to do. We may have a little bit of a setback issue if we're measuring setback from the edge of pavement, and this is please understand this is Google Maps, so this is not a survey, but just taking a rough, and I don't know if you can see this well, but basically drawing a line from the edge of the pavement as I can see it on the screen here and going about 100 feet. It takes you well past the existing shed there and takes up a chunk of that front yard. So there may be some engineering challenges just to fit the geometry, again, unless you're looking for a text amendment or a variance.
What about our addition in 2007? That's the front building there. It looks like it's inside that rate.
It is. I don't know. Someone who was here in 2007 may have more insight on how that was permitted. It's possible the regulations changed between then and now, or yeah, I couldn't say.
I think worst case scenario, we'd like to just tie it, get rid of the front building and tie in the same length out of that building straight
Right here.
across the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, if it's that much of a variance, it would make the whole building look a lot better from the road, and it would kind of give us space too, without really a lot of wasted space out front of our building like that.
Right. No, it makes sense. I think then we'd have to check, Wayne, if you know what the regulations are on extension of existing non-conforming structure. If you're allowed to, if we could swap out, removal of this building with extending the building to the south.
Correct.
That may be something that can be swapped out, but we'll have to take a look at the regs.
I will, I did dig up and I'm sorry, I should have thought to have printed them off or scanned them. The 2007 edition, I don't know if any members were here. And how that came to be. There were several additions to that property over the years, 2007 being the most recent. And
97, 98, we did the other edition.
right. So I will dig all that stuff up, Chris. I'll send it to you. I'll let the commission have it. And you too, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I think you were asking, Thomas, you were asking, or Chris, I'm not sure who was asking about the fire requirements. You'd have to check with our fire department. Well,
Okay.
Yeah, our only concern with that is because we're strictly like electronics. We could not really use water in our facility. We would have to go to the other forms of fire suppression.
Okay, I understand that's not our call.
right, okay.
I think that. I don't want to speak for the commission. It's not my place,
But we have.
but
the
it is a long-standing business in town.
Yes,
Employs a lot of people.
yep,
Probably pays a lot of taxes.
if I recall, they're one of our biggest taxpayers in town. So. Yeah. Oh, you got that.
Chris. In working with your engineer, do you have any preliminary plans done?
Just this and there's.
No, just really what I sent you
Okay.
was the only thing.
Okay.
We should be getting more information from them in the coming weeks. They've been kind of going back and forth with they're looking into the fire suppression thing for us now, trying to get a budgetary quote in there. We were quoted out a price, but they're not going to go to anything preliminary until there's a contract in place.
Right.
Then they'll be
Okay.
able to start working internally on, with their engineers on, getting something together, from my understanding, to then take to the town of Andover to then work with you.
Would the commission like to hear from Chris next meeting? And with more information provided by me and the rest of it?
Yes, and. Before we go further, I'm presuming that if you were to expand on, before that, is there anybody in the commission that would think that the front of the building is not a good idea? Before we can go further? Like, cause I'm sure the back of the building, you might have evaluated that,
There's a
that's there.
There's a bank there.
Oh, there's a bank, all right.
Yes, there's the whole river that runs to the back.
There's a lot of wetlands behind there too.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's like our only real feasible land for any sort of expansion. That's where this kind of started.
Thank
We
you.
do have room for parking on the side, though.
Yeah.
That's the only question I had,
Yeah, huh.
so.
I guess the question I really have is how did we address? You know, is there something in the package that addresses the fact that we're not 100 feet from the edge of the road?
Right.
When we built it in 2007? Is that what?
That whole new building was built in 07, yeah.
Yeah. And they should have been addressed at that time.
That's something I should have brought to the commission, but,
But we don't know right now,
well,
so.
I'll get it to you guys and,
Okay,
Chris and John. I believe that was a site plan that was a site plan approval too, that was not a special permit. There were previous expansions that were special permits, and that threw me off. So. It's another thing to decide. Like, me and John, we're going back and forth on whether this would be a site plan or a special permit. The activity is allowed in an industrial zone.
so technically, it's not really a
It
site
might
plan.
not be a special permit.
Oh,
I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it's allowed this is allowed in an industrial
Yeah.
zone, so. But it'd still be a site plan review. So the commission would still get the drawings and all that good stuff to look at.
Any other questions from the commission? Any other questions from Scott, electronics?
Nope, nothing from
Mm,
myself.
I'm all set, Jim.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, hearing none, I guess, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
thank you very much. Moving on to item 7. We have our 2 candidates. Jay and Beata. Should be more formal. Jay Kamens and Beata Ganams. Flip a coin. Start. You already have your letter of intent in.
You got copies of?
Yep. Does the commission have any questions? Start that one.
The only thing to point out is that Beata, your letter says that you were applying for an alternate vacancy, but you're not really, you're applying for the full position.
My apologies, yes,
She corrected that.
Just, okay.
so sorry.
So I guess my question is, you know, a point of order here. We had, I think the notice said we had an opening.
Yeah.
And so when Beata made the mistake on our letter, they said, this is great. We've got one of the alternates wants to be the regular. We've got somebody new who wants to be an alternate. We're all done. Then I started wrestling with, and then that's one opening, they should shift in a guy, bringing in somebody new and I don't know that we can do that, but I think it would sure be nice.
Well, it depends on how it goes. There may be an opening on alternate.
Yeah.
That I believe will have to be announced. And go through the same process. Per the charter. Under the bylaws.
Yeah, the charter.
Oh, I'm sorry, charter, you're right, charter, I'm sorry.
Okay. So my neat vision A little too much.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
I like where you're going with it.
Yeah.
How'd you handle this last time?
But it wasn't exactly like.
Why don't
Wasn't
we ask each
exactly.
candidate, let me ask each candidate to give a little
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
And then
Fair enough.
you guys go from there.
Jay, would you like to go first?
Yeah, of course. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I was elected as an alternate in the last election, and I've really had a wonderful experience. I've really enjoyed getting to know the P and Z, and also kind of understanding some of the issues and challenges that you have. Trying to have progress forward kind of a approach to development, while also being very conscious of kind of Andover and its needs and its own personality, and wanting to preserve that. So I've had a good time, and I don't think I've missed a meeting. So when the position came up, I was more than happy to um, put myself forward to try and fill the position, and be happy to do so if you need me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can answer questions, but I think that's it in terms of my motivations.
Any questions from the commission? Hearing none. Beata, your turn.
Thank you for having me. Bianca Johnson, I think everybody knows me. Jay, we haven't had the pleasure to meet yet. But I have an interest in planning and zoning because it's very career adjacent, and I happen to really love what I do. I'm also deeply invested in the growth and future of this town, being having a younger family in the schools, moving on to RAM next year. And I would love to help with my real estate knowledge, as that is my current career. I think I have an interesting perspective, a different perspective maybe than is currently on the board, on the commission, that would maybe lend nicely. I also currently serve on EDC. I am PTA president-elect for next year. And I do serve on some professional committees, regional events, Young Professionals Network. So yes, would love to be a part of the commission if you'll have me in any capacity.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? All right, hearing none. Thank you for your interviews, and I guess we'll close out item 7 and go into executive session.
Executive session to.
Uh,
All right, so
Yeah.
who's being invited to stay?
yeah,
I think everybody but Beata and Jay have to, Beata and Jay have to leave. I think everybody else can stay, not you.
So Jay needs to log back in at some point, or
Yeah, he can't be.
I could actually bring us to.
There was a way you did it before where we.
I could take you to I could take us all to a breakout room. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, do you want me to just do that?
It's up to you.
Okay, Jay, you stay put.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, so Kevin and Wayne, you've been invited to the breakout room. I'm going to hit pause on the recording.
I have to make a statement for the record that We voted unanimously to go to executive session, but it was not recorded. Now somebody has to make a motion.
So you want to, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, you want to state for the record that no decisions were made in in executive session.
I will make that statement. No decisions were made in executive session. We did not vote. Asking
Okay.
for, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nope, just saying in the affirmative. I heard you.
Oh, good, thank you, thank you. Oh,
Did you guys?
I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we elect Jay as the new member to fill the vacancy created by Ann Cremay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
What's your vote?
Discussion.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little flustered. Any discussion? The reason I'm flustered, for the record, is that we like both candidates. Thank you. Let's take a vote.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay. Aye. Motion passes 3-0, and Jay is abstaining. Or is, yeah,
Jay
say
should
that.
have recused himself or abstained. You abstained, correct, Jay?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Abstain.
You vote? Yeah. So, 3-1.
3-1. Motion carries, right?
That's great. Thank you so much. Can I make a quick statement?
Yes.
I just think it's really fantastic that we had two people that wanted to step up for a town committee. So I think that's wonderful. It's great. And I hope that we can fill the alternate seat shortly soon.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. And
Congratulations, Jay.
So
Okay.
there will be an opening for the alternate posted shortly,
So I'll correct my letter back to read there.
just to let you know,
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah.
And,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
None of us wanted to make that motion.
okay, moving on to item 10, correspondence.
Commission has some correspondence, but that's for basically item 11 is discussion. I don't, and no, I don't have any correspondence for the commission.
No other correspondence. Okay, moving on.
Unless you have some.
I do not. Just check my notes. No. Let's move on. Should we wait till Leanne gets back or take a pause?
Yeah, I would think we have to take a pause if there's gonna be a commission discussion.
Yeah, break this stuff up. Also, 23. Yeah, John, in preparation for this section, could you pull up anything you might have prepared for mixed use development and or
The new chart that somebody made, the chart. Sure. For costs and.
I'm sorry, what are you asking me to pull up?
Yeah.
I don't even know, sorry.
Well, I'm thinking that this discussion is gonna be a very high level organizing. Discussion, not necessarily get into any nitty gritty on any particular specific topic. Because of our discussion about potentially creating a working group to address this.
So you just want me to review sort of high level what sort of regulations need to be adjusted on the basis of Public Act 25-1 and sort of how I recommend proceeding?
Yes, please, John.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are two categories, and I know Mark Brantz had forwarded a bunch of templates and thoughts for you. I think some of what he's doing is I think there's a couple of things in there that I'm not sure why he necessarily included, but we can talk with him about it. Basically, there are two sets of regulations that the commission needs to consider, ideally before July 1st. It's probably too late in the game for us to have our revised regulations in place effective July 1st, but we can do it shortly thereafter, and I think no harm done. The first is the town, like every community in Connecticut, is required to now allow what's referred to as transit-oriented middle housing, which is basically small multifamily housing, as a site plan use. The statute calls it summary review, but that is essentially a site plan approach in all commercial and mixed use zoning districts. So basically our commercial corridor along Route 6 will need to be adjusted to, I think, define what is transit-oriented middle housing, which is basically multifamily units of 2 through 9 units, or a mixed-use development that includes multifamily of 2 through 9 units. Those need to be allowed by site plan in the commercial district. So that's number one. Number two is we need to change our parking regulations relative to minimum parking requirements for residential uses. And anything under 16 residential units. So our single family residences, our accessory apartments, and a small multifamily, including this transit-oriented middle housing, cannot be denied solely on the basis of lack of off-street parking. So we need to adjust our parking standards there. And in a town like Andover, if you develop any kind of housing thing, you're going to provide parking. That's just how, development is done in places where we have no, we're not walkable. We don't have trains. We don't have buses. But the state statute requires us to adjust our parking regulations in that we cannot require significant off-street parking for residential units. Above 16 residential units, we are authorized to require a maximum of, you can maximally require, I should say, one off-street parking space for a studio or one bedroom apartment, or 2 parking spaces for a 2 or more bedroom unit. So we basically need to address 2 areas: small multifamily in our commercial zone and residential parking standards. For the first one, I think Mark Brantz has provided, because it is a site plan review process, the town can still have fairly specific and fairly rigid requirements in terms of setbacks, in terms of lighting, in terms of landscaping, in terms of, building design, roof slope, fenestration. There's all kinds of requirements the town can put in place, but they cannot be discretionary. It cannot be a special permit process with a public hearing where we kind of negotiate terms. It needs to be fixed standards. Either you comply or you don't. But those standards can be fairly high. Should the commission be concerned about what these developments might look like in your commercial area. So I think that's what Attorney Brantz provided. He provided a set of proposed regulations for inclusionary zoning, which is a purely optional provision of the state statutes. I don't think we need to focus on that right now unless you really want to. And I will close this little introduction by saying I think probably the easiest way to proceed would be to for you, Mr. Chairman, to task a small ad hoc committee to sort of meet separately, make their recommendations to the full commission, so we don't have to sort of hash things out, on a Tuesday night with a full group.
Yeah,
And I would add that, because we are now getting, seems like more interest in larger scale developments. I took a look at the regulations and our ability to pass engineering and legal costs onto the applicants. And Attorney Brantz agrees with me that we don't really have that.
Every other town does.
Every other town does, and he provided us with some language. Oh, shit.
Oh, well, I saw how close he was over the lane. Wow.
There was a,
Yeah, okay,
Right inside.
yeah, they're going out to the Windsor Territory.
those were going to,
Oh, yeah, they fly that. They do, get it knocked out.
yeah, it goes over my house.
I know.
all right, I haven't seen anything like that since I was a kid, and then they started making them fly higher. Anyway, sorry, folks. Anyway.
It's an exciting moment.
I missed what happened there. Wayne saw something. That's all I saw.
We had a flyby, a couple
Oh.
of military planes just took a nice banking turn low over town of Andover. So anyway, Attorney Brantz did give us some language for that, and it may need, according to Attorney Brantz, some enabling language in a town ordinance. The ordinance that we currently have only gives the commission authority to set fees for applications. So I strongly would urge the commission to look at that because, as we know, our legal and engineering costs can be very significant.
So is the ad hoc committee gonna do work on that also?
I'm leaving that up to the commission. I would suggest, and I would suggest that that's the low hanging fruit here. But we do need to address the affordable housing issues. Absolutely. The only places I found the ability to pass costs along were in the area of stormwater management. So. That's my 2 cents worth. You know, I'm sure me and John have been happy to work with your ad hoc committee. Give them any information that I can provide, and I know John's the same way. So,
I guess my thought was that John could create some regulations for us, and then we talked about them.
That would
Yeah.
Yes.
We could do it that way. I just wanted to task us with doing it. The one question I would have is towns can take very different approaches, particularly, I mean, the parking regs are easy, but the summary review of middle housing can really go in a bunch of different directions depending on how much you want to regulate. Like if you really want to build up a fairly high bar for design and layout of these facilities, that takes a little bit more work. I will say the town of Columbia next door already has basically multifamily as of right, or I should say by site plan review in their commercial district. So they really decided they don't need to make any changes at all. They're basically say, okay, we already allow this by site plan, you know, but and other towns, for instance, Voluntown, which is obviously a very different town from Andover, although they're both rural, chose to just have a setback, a maximum coverage, and a little bit of a perimeter landscaping thing, and just leave it at that. No building design things, no issue with fenestration, no thing about. And it's really sort of how do you want these things to look? If you don't have building design criteria for your current single family residences or your current commercial buildings, do you really need separate design criteria for this middle housing? But these are sort of the fundamental high level questions we want to ask before, like I'm asking planning questions first, and then we'll get the zoning regulations right,
And does the commission want to engage the citizens of the town in this process in any way, via a questionnaire or something like that? I'm just throwing that out there. To get the input from the citizens of the town.
So what would be the charge of this subcommittee?
To look at ours, to come back to the commission with recommendations for, essentially affordable housing, regulations.
I would say, I'm sorry, Wayne, I would just say regulatory amendments to comply with Public Act 25-1.
Okay, I'll go with that, yeah.
Public
And
Act
then-
what?
2501. That was the big omnibus,
John,
Housing.
John, are you gonna be involved with these meetings?
I'm sorry, am I?
Yeah.
If you'd like me to. I'm at your disposal, guys.
he used to,
Yeah.
he has to.
Yeah.
And I would even, at some point, we probably need to reach out to Attorney Branch. Probably when we have something
Yeah, when we have something to review.
something for him to review. Try and avoid spending money on attorneys.
But John was working on the plan of conservation development, right? So I think that, after that's done, then this would be his next task.
The PLCD is done.
It's done. It's done, that's what I'm saying, so.
And
this
and
would
of
be
course,
his
this,
next thing that he's working on.
this
For
fits,
housing.
right,
This is all
this
parts.
fits, and this exercise fits right in with the PLCD.
Yeah.
Do they really need a subcommittee?
Why can't he draw it all up and bring it to us?
I'm,
That's an option.
me and
Yeah.
John together on it.
I'm happy to do that. I guess I would want sort of that first question answered. If I guess so. Let me just ask you this way: how nervous does that make you that the state is basically saying you have to allow small multifamily, 9 units or under, along the Route 6 corridor? Are you worried that this is going to really have some detrimental effect on the community character and the visual outlook of the Route 6 and your commercial corridor? If you're relatively confident that developers will do a decent job, if someone's going to build a new small multifamily building, you trust that they'll have decent design approaches, then we can regulate it very minimally. If you want to be very prescriptive about what these things should look like and how they sit on the site and how they're landscaped and how they are, designed and lit, then it can be, more complicated. It's really, how much do you want to regulate these things? That's the question.
What regulations?
For now,
I think
medium.
Medium?
Well.
I'm not necessarily opposed.
are we able to get any kind of
I was asking what the charge was. I'm not familiar with this. So Wayne, is that why you suggested maybe public input?
I'm just making suggestions to the commission that this is gonna be something we're gonna have to have public hearings on all this. So I mean, the public will be able to weigh in at that point. I would like to see us as a town try and do more to engage our citizens in any decision-making process that we do in town, not just here, but anywhere.
Any?
Any,
Hey, folks,
Hey, Jay.
can I jump in?
other than whether we're gonna
Yeah.
sweep the road,
Um,
like, yeah.
Go ahead, Jay, sorry.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just wondering, just a couple of things, if we can get any kind of wisdom from other local towns that have been dealing with this and see what they have to say in terms of giving us advice. And second, I think, and just in terms of public engagement, it feels like it would be good if before we do that, that we have at least some thoughts and some thoughts of our own kind of formed that we could bring to them, and in terms of suggestions. I don't know how it's done, but I think they.
Public engagement could be doing a better job of advertising the public hearings that we'll have to have, rather than just, legal notice in the River East that nobody reads. Well,
So John, I thought one of the takeaways from the transit oriented housing was that applied anywhere, not just next to transit places.
It applies in any commercial or mixed use zoning district.
Okay, so it's not anywhere. Can't put
No,
it
it's not in residential districts. You do not have to change your residential regulations at all.
Okay, I misread that going through there. I thought that was anywhere, but
and that's another thing that I brought up. Is the town interested in allowing duplexes and triplexes in the residential district? You guys can just shoot me if you want, but I feel obligated to bring it up for the commission.
Yeah, and I think that's it's good of Wayne to jump on this now. I think it could also, we are going to have to basically in about a year's time start having serious conversations about what's called the town's housing growth plan, or our participation in the regional housing growth plan. And some of those techniques, some of those zoning changes, allowing duplexes, triplexes, quads, or something like that, is an appropriate implementation element of that housing growth plan when it comes around. Obviously, we can do it now and get credit for it, but it's something that is coming down the pike, and we're going to be participating probably with the region over the next 2 years in that discussion. So I think there's, just from a statutory standpoint, there's no immediate urgency for that, but I commend Wayne in being proactive about it.
well, I guess, my sense was that I'm okay with having multifamily housing in multifamily housing developments where, whether it be, what we're talking about out there at Lindholm Corners or Whispering Hills or whatever. I don't know that, I think it would be right to say that we're gonna build a 8-unit apartment out on Oaks Farms Road or something necessarily.
Right, me too, I feel the same way.
And,
As long as the setting is,
yeah, we choose, where it is, that's what I would like to, and I don't know why I think that, I just think that, neighborhood looks like a neighborhood, and it ought to be somewhat consistent. Whispering Hills is tucked in all by itself, nobody even knows it's there, and, that's a good thing for the town. But, even defining, Route 6 as the commercial corridor, it's not all commercial, it's got, a couple of different things along it there and that sort of thing.
And there's
But that's,
a lot of properties along Route 6 are very challenged,
right,
so.
yeah. anyhow, that's kind of my thought on that. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's how I feel. At this point, always subject to change, always subject to get smarter, but that's, and I think that's a concern that a lot of people in town probably, have about when they talk about low income housing. They keep saying, it's not low income housing, it's affordable housing, work for people.
And
There's still
I actually ran the numbers on affordable housing. And you're talking rents in the neighborhood of $2,600. I think John came up with the same kind of number. 80% of our median income, or 30% of 80% of our median income, that sends up to like $2,600 a month for rent.
What's the
Yeah.
median income?
135,000 or something like that.
That's in Andover. And so it depends on, it depends on the specifics of the type of housing that's available. If it's an 830G, you'd use the lower of the town and the state, so that number would be a little bit lower. If you did something inclusionary, like Mark Brantz was suggesting, then you can use the town median, which is, the town is more affluent than the state as a whole. So yeah, those numbers would be higher.
I guess the other thought that I had as we were talking about Lindholm Corners was I would like whatever regulations we put in to allow affordable housing to be such that we limit it a little bit so that if somebody wants more, they're kind of forced to go the 830G route, which forces us to get a little affordable housing in the town because, I think we need it. And, I don't think that's bad for the town in a developmental capacity. So it would be nice to have something out there in Lindholm Corners that would make those guys create some affordable housing for us that get credit for, not just the
Right.
affordable housing that doesn't give us any credit.
But that's a good point, Wayne, because $2,600 a month is not what many people would call affordable.
Right.
So when you hear affordable housing, I don't think a lot of people think that they'd be paying $2,600 a month. They're thinking like 2/3 of that, or half that, So. I mean, there's a lot to study.
We're not the only town doing this, right? Other towns have to face this, right?
Every town in the state.
Yeah, so they're in the same boat. Just wondering if there's some way we could, I don't know, talk to each other.
Yeah, so I mean, and we can provide lots of examples of other communities and their different approaches. And again, Columbia is doing it one way because they already have multifamily allowed in their commercial district. Other towns are doing it other ways. A number of communities, we've developed sort of a fairly complicated template that uses some building design and some fairly high bars for things like landscaping and site design that we can share, and if the commission likes that approach, then we can just use that. There is no need to totally reinvent the wheel on this. There's lots and lots of examples. It's just I would like some initial direction about the types of templates to start with.
I guess, John, another question I have is when we talk about the reduction in requirements for parking, let's say you build one of these things on Route 6. What does it mean when we're allowed to have on-street parking?
And you would, I mean, the state, I'm sure, does not allow on-street parking on Route 6. So yeah, no, I mean, it really becomes an academic exercise because no developer in their right mind is going to spend $25 million building a multifamily building and not providing any parking for its tenants. Like it's ludicrous. It would not happen, but it's something to note.
I think we should allow
Well-
parking on town roads either, but that's just me.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I agree with you, but we said this is only on the commercial.
No, I mean,
This-
the ordinance.
Yeah. This on-street parking with our little roads just isn't smart.
Right, but that's a question for the selectmen, who I assume are the traffic authority in this case.
Yeah.
Well, that brings something up. You were talking about this, architectural and landscape requirements. I think that we should be a little proactive on that because you know, all those commercial properties are, our town, that stretch of our town is so small. A lot of people don't even know they've been through Annenberg. So they see a whole bunch of, you know, multi-unit family houses and that's it. And then they're out of our town. And that's one of the things we have to balance. So we have to, I think that it would be wise to go forward with that. Keeping that in mind, that we have an architectural review board or, I mean, one of the things that came up is, are we going to need a housing authority? Because currently we do not have one. Was that one of the requirements too, John, that we have a housing authority by July 1st
You
or
have a certain
No.
population.
a certain population?
There, oh,
Okay.
that was municipalities over, I think 25,000 require a
Okay,
fair rent commission, not a housing authority.
okay, thank you.
But,
And then
but
the other-
either way, it doesn't apply.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the, architectural review board. No, I'm sorry, the WPCA. Currently, we don't have a water commission because we don't have any sewers.
Right.
So that would stay the same, is that, or is that
Yeah.
like distributing that?
There's- If everyone is operating off of private systems, there's no need to have a water pollution control authority.
But what about the, is there a limit when that does apply? As soon as there's sewers and public water or?
As soon as they're sewers, would really be the trigger, because a public water supply would be managed by Connecticut Water or whoever the exclusive service provider is for Andover. But yeah, I don't, at this point and in the projectable future, I don't think we need to worry about a WPCA.
Okay, thank you.
So if the commission, I mean, you know, this, Mr. Chairman, it's up to you. If you would like me to work, you know, come up with some draft regulations or work principally with Wayne to come up with something for the commission to review, you know, at your next meeting, you know, I can pitch you something down the middle of the plate, and if you want to beef it up or if you want to scale it back, that's up to you.
How about we just bring some sample regulations from various towns for the commission to look at?
Sure, that's easy.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah,
Oh, that's probably how he's gonna go.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I mean, the wheel's been invented
He
somewhere.
already goes to
We don't have
5
to
towns
reinvent
or
the
6
wheel.
towns, he knows exactly what he's doing on all this stuff.
yep,
Well, did Brad already give us an example?
he did.
Yeah, okay.
But I,
And I'm
And
sure.
yeah, and Brant's has a template, and we can share some other templates, certainly.
Francis template, I mean, it's nice and everything, but I'm not certain that that's what it'll look like. That was written by the lawyers, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Mark Brantz will tell you that in his previous life, he was a planner, but yeah, it was written by a lawyer.
Some plain language is always better.
And then if we had to have at least one public hearing, and that's what someone said, then that would address what Wayne was saying about involving the public.
Right, but I would like us to, I guess it'd fall on me to do a better job getting the public out, getting notice out.
If it's required.
Yeah, well, a public hearing is absolutely required for this will be a text amendment to the regulation, so you would absolutely need to have a public hearing. But I think Wayne is just talking about making some efforts to making sure that the public is aware and engaged a little bit more than they tend to be.
Oh yeah, that's a perfectly good idea, but I mean, I don't think there's anything that you're not doing now, right? You just wanted
Well, I just put a legal notice in the River East that nobody's.
Well, because the P O C D survey that we put out, we had a little ad in the River East that did a better job on that. And I think we had, maybe some town email blast that came out, let everybody know. And that's certainly cheap. We could do
I
that.
guess I'm looking for the commission's blessing to maybe,
We need some proposed regs, basically.
well, once we have something that.
Yeah.
I think John is right, once we have something concrete. And then
We can ask for input.
when we have the public hearing.
Right.
And then do a better job of advertising and promoting it.
Yeah, because this is a big step for Andover,
It's a
basically,
huge step.
and then, but it's also gonna apply to mixed use zones.
Well,
In a way.
we don't have it in
Well,
mixed use zones, right?
it's the same thing, yeah, basically. Route 6 corridor at the moment, right?
And. We have a lot of residential still on Route 6, so.
I mean, I'm on some of the, the town websites, but they're not town endorsed, they're Andover Citizen this and Andover Support Network that. I mean, I could put something just factual on there, just saying, yes, there's a public hearing, this is what
Yeah,
it's
well,
about, period.
Right, once the public hearing is, once we have something in a public hearing was set, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Get the word out. And maybe we move the venue to the auditorium over there or something. Well, that's all I got.
Sounds like a plan. We'll let the planner plan. There you go. Any other comments, discussion on that? So at this point, I guess we'll hold off. An actual subcommittee, but if it comes to that, I'll be looking for volunteers or.
You actually,
I appoint,
you point.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to it, and I missed the beginning of the discussion, I was just thinking, that's why I asked about exactly what the charge of a subcommittee would be, is. Sometimes they can create. And the time it takes you to form a committee and then set a schedule, sometimes whether it's, this commissioner or the board of selectmen, in my opinion, a lot of times somebody could just do it. Whatever commission you're talking about could have just done it.
I tend to agree, but, a horseback committee is a camel, so.
Well. I'll hold off on subcommittee then.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we can move on to. Item 12, administrative reports.
Okay, I've actually been working this week on zoning and blight enforcement. I have a list here of 1, 2, 3, 6, 8 locations. Letters are going out. These are basically preliminary letters, not notices of violation, just encourage them to make contact and discuss the situations that appear to exist.
Are you gonna make that available to us?
Yes, once the letters are, yeah, I'll let you guys have copies of them. At the, probably at the next meeting. And, 2 are zoning violations. One, I don't know. Can't make somebody finish the house they started building.
You haven't figured out a way to do that yet?
No, I don't.
I might.
I don't see any way of doing that.
Wasn't the certificate of occupancy do that?
Yeah, was there
Well,
any
that's the-
CO?
I mean, it's the building official, yeah, I mean, it's,
Was there a CO issue?
no, there's no COs, the house is still,
I know what downstairs.
yeah, okay.
Is there a CO on house?
No. On Center Street?
No.
We're
On Indeed?
handy. Oh, that one with the. Um. uh, Yeah, there's a CO because you can live in a house you're renovating, I guess, that's how that works.
25 years later?
Apparently, huh. So. I was thinking on Center Street. It's been at kind of a standstill for quite a while now.
Hmm.
But I'll, I'll give you what I write to them and, I don't just send them letters, I call them, I talk to them before just to let them know that this is coming. So, that's really all I have.
Thank you, Wayne.
Good to see you're sticking with it, Wayne.
It's,
Big thing for Midland Wetlands, is, we've got the application in to, redo the Zola Bridge Lake Road culvert. And, as of the last meeting, Wayne shed some light out. Now,
it's like herding cats.
concern was, we didn't have a wetlands agent. I think if we had these big projects, it'd be nice to have a wetlands agent review. And so, maybe, unrelated to that, we probably kick the can down the road by deciding to schedule a public hearing, that. And, so that bought us a little more time before we have to act on it. But, so we'll be doing a public hearing in our next, meeting coming up in June. On that, but
And I hope I can, I try to stay in my lane, let me start out with that, I try to stay in my lane. So, conversations with Matt about scheduling a, interview. And, interview of candidates, I'll use the word, plural. Make that plural, but, it seems to me it seems like it's a lot harder than it needs to be. I'll just leave it at that.
Did you
so I
get
guess we
it?
don't have an agent yet.
Did you
We
get
do
any
not have an
applicants?
agent,
How many applicants did you get?
we have one applicant,
And one other person that was interested, right? I told you
but
about.
didn't apply.
Yeah, but it's just common knowledge.
Right, and there may be common knowledge, but without an application, can't move on it, can't move on that person. So,
John told you
John told,
that the Columbia person was interested in doing wetlands.
And yeah, I think she talked to Wayne.
I don't wanna discuss individuals in public forum, just prior to them being interviewed for a position with the town. So. I just wanna say that I am trying to move it, and I've had limited success.
All set?
Yep.
Okay, John, you're up.
Okay, well, so earlier in the month, Wayne and I had a discussion with the folks from Lindholm Corners, the potential developers, and kind of went through their concepts of what they wanted to do and the current regulations. Pointed out some areas that would need to be tweaked if they were going to pursue this as sort of that mixed use overlay. And I think, if they wanted to go that route, they could submit their, their concept plan and some proposed zoning regulation changes essentially at the same time that would be sort of mutually enabling. But sort of gave them homework to go back and try to figure it out. And they'll be back with us hopefully sooner than later. And beyond that, relative to housing growth and the required statutory plans that are coming down the pike, I have been invited as Andover's consulting planner to participate in a CROG meeting, our Council of Governments, Capital Region Council of Governments, Housing Growth Technical Advisory Group that's made up, it appears, of most of the planners in the CROG region. The first meeting of that group is next Thursday, the 28th. If Wayne or someone else is interested in also representing the town, we can reach out to CROG and see. I'll be there representing both Andover and Columbia. So that's upcoming next week.
Sounds good. All right, any public speak? Hearing none, moving on to approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 21st minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Just
Sorry. Go ahead.
one little thing.
Sorry,
think
I
it's-
forgot discussion.
No, I think it's was under number 2. I think there's just one misspelling. It's I think it's supposed to say heating and it says heating.
Evening, yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing I saw.
Job, yeah.
Thank
Very good. You would anybody like to make a motion? Do you want that amended?
As amended. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Is he allowed to vote before he's already but he doesn't have to get sworn in, right?
We have to get probably sworn in as a regular member, but I'm sworn in as an alternate.
Yes, seated and seated, correct, okay. Don't forget to get sworn in, Jay, just before I forget.
You got it. Yeah, I'll be there in person next month.
Are you gonna notify the town clerk?
I'm sure
Yeah.
you already.
Yeah, do I go see you, Wayne, or do I go to the clerk?
Town clerk.
Yeah.
Town clerk. All right. Patrick, do you know who that is?
Nope. All right, next meeting is June 16th. And can I get a motion for adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
8:48. Jake.
Jay seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Jay. Motion passes 5-0.
Hey, John.